Hey, this is Jerry Strauss, host of Hollywood Happy Place. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Tiana Vanderhei here, host of the Refined Redhead podcast on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast. Once you're done with this episode, you should definitely come check out my show, the Refined Redhead podcast, where we talk to real people about relevant information in hopes of inspiring you to chase after whatever dreams you've set out to accomplish, persevering through whatever obstacles are in your way. A new show comes out bi-weekly every Tuesday, so don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of the Refined Redhead podcast. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Today's verse of the day comes from Psalm 38, verse 21. Lord, do not forsake me. Do not be far from me, my God. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Verse of the Day podcast presented by Public House Media. Thanks for joining me for this episode. Another great edition of the show coming at you. A reminder, the show comes out Monday through Friday here on Public House Media. Check them out at thephmedia.com. You can find their whole catalog of shows. They are the presenting sponsor of the show, so we are grateful for them and for all that they do for Verse of the Day. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes and Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you find your podcast. Just type in Verse of the Day, and I bet you're probably going to find us. This verse today, coming from Psalm 38, verse 21, is, I think, something we all fear, but something we all know to be true. That first part of the verse says, Lord, do not forsake me. Do not be far from me, my God. We never want to be away from Christ. We never want to be alone in this world, because that's just absolutely terrifying, right? Nobody likes feeling like they're secluded from the world. Nobody likes feeling like they're the last man or last woman out. They're not chosen for the project. They're not chosen for the sports team. They're not invited to the party. But all of that is trivial when it comes to eternal life and salvation. And this verse today, specifically, really, I think, is a great, short, sweet reminder. Because you can hear the plea from David to God. Lord, do not forsake me. Do not be far from me, my God. We don't ever want God to just give us a leash, or to not give us a leash, rather, and just say, good luck. We'll see you when you die, and we'll see how you did, right? I think that's what some people view God as, is he created the world and gave it a spin and said, all right, what's the worst that could happen? And then he went away, and then people are expecting him to come back at some point and then judge everyone. And newsflash, that's not how it works, and that's not how it has worked for the last 2,000 plus years. It's been far longer than that. But we as a people need to realize that God is never that far away from us. And I know it might be hard to grasp that concept sometimes, but I want you to take this to heart, though, and I want you to remember this, because no matter how we read this, no matter what version, I think the New Living Translation says it great. Do not abandon me, O God. Do not stand at a distance, my God. The last thing we want is to feel separated from God, because if we're separated from God, that means we will no longer have eternal salvation with Him and eternal happiness. Personally, that terrifies me. I want that eternal salvation. I want to be with God in heaven for eternity when I pass away, when I die. And it's interesting because we are so hell-bent on doing things ourselves, right? We're a very independent society. We're very independent people. And to put our thoughts, to put our words, to put our trust in something we can't see, something we can't touch, something we can't really hear, depending on how you want to interpret that. And yet, thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people, more than millions of people throughout the course of history have put their trust in Jesus. And David was just preaching what we're all thinking. God, do not forsake me. Do not leave me alone. Do not be far from me, Lord. Please be there. That's why the comparison of us being children is so relevant, because we as kids are always kind of want to do our own thing, but we always want to make sure mom and dad are close by. My son is exactly like that. He is the most independent little kid I've ever met, but he always likes to know where my wife and I are, just in case. Just in case he needs something, in case he needs a snack, needs a sippy cup, or just wants to come running back to us just to give us a hug at our knees, just because he is a cutie like that and is so lovable. We're that way with God too. It's okay to be independent, to experiment, to figure life out, but know that God is always right there with you. He's going through life with you. He's always going to be there. I think the next verse that we see sometimes that as a good reference is Psalm 35:22. You have seen it, O Lord. Do not keep silent, O Lord. Do not be far from me. Psalm 71:12, another one. O God, do not be far from me. O God, hasten to my help. And then Psalm 22:19. But you, O Lord, do not be far off. O you, my help, hasten to my assistance. Are you catching the theme here? David says this numerous times throughout the book of Psalms. Do not be far from us, Lord. Save us, protect us, lead us, guide us, so that we, a very curious and very hungry people, can follow your steps, follow who you are, and ultimately give our lives to you. For your glory, not for ours, for your glory. Analyze where you are in your journey right now. Analyze how you go about living your life. Are you content with being on your own? Are you content with the decisions you're making? Or are you going through life, experimenting a little bit, but also keeping God close? Because you ultimately know that you can't do anything without Him in your life. Ponder that as you go through, because you'd be surprised at how quickly we think we can do everything and how quickly we think we know everything. We don't. That's the news flash here tonight. We don't know everything. So I challenge you, I urge you, as you go about your day, as you go about your life, see how you react to situations, good or bad. Do you call upon God? Do you thank God? Do you embrace God's love and guidance on a daily basis? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Either way, God's always there regardless if you call upon Him or not. So keep that in mind too. God doesn't just pick 2 or 3 people and say, yeah, I'm going to hang out with them. He is always there. He is always with you, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, no matter what your circumstance is. God is always there with you. He is a good and faithful God that will always protect us and always keep us safe. Take that as your comfort. Take that as your reassurance today and every day, to know that no matter what you go through, God is there and God's got it. You've been listening to the Verse of the Day podcast presented by Public House Media. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Verse of the Day. I hope you'll go and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Google Play Music as well. A new episode comes out every Monday through Friday. You won't want to miss it. More information about Verse of the Day can be found by heading over to thephmedia.com.